And we're live. Hey guys, welcome back to Whiskey Charlie, the War Game Chat, our monthly show on YouTube. I'm your host, Mo from Mo's Game Table, and joining me are my two esteemed co-hosts, everybody's favorite Gimp with the Limp, the Gimpy Gamer, Nate Rogers. How's it going, Nate?
One esteemed, and then me.
That's true.
I'll tell you, I hate church people. I hate them with a passion. And don't take that the wrong way. But
whoa, this is a War Game Chat. What the hell are you doing?
No, listen, hear me out. They will not stop taking their damn kids to church sick. Because every time we end up in this rut, we go, we take our kids, we put them in Sunday school, we go to service, we get done, and then a couple days later, they're all snotty and coughy and sick and,
This is because you don't expose your kids to enough germs. That's the problem. It's your fault.
They'll do a week or two, they're fine, then they get sick, and we stop going to wait for them to get better because we don't want to take our kids when they're sick. And I just wish others would do that. Like, look, if your kids have the sniffles, keep them home.
Don't blame Jesus, baby. Don't blame Jesus.
I know. Jeez, wow.
It's not Jesus' fault, man. Come on.
It's not Jesus. It's the people who are coming, man. They don't have any goodwill towards their fellow man.
I think somehow we kind of slid just a little bit off the freaking cliff down into a valley, like into a gorge.
You know what? You know what you need to do?
But hey, let's talk about Jesus and kids who are sick in Sunday school.
You know what you need to do? You need to take your kids out more often, have them lick doorknobs. They'll be good to go.
Yeah, exactly. Let your kids out to play in the dirt, bro. What's up with that?
And the non-church hating co-host, the Wargaming Wizard from Oz, Kev Sharp from the big board. How's it going, Kev?
Well, I'm obviously doing a lot better than Nate. I love Sunday school.
That really took a turn for the worst right out of the gate.
I'm trying to give my kids the white picket fence life, right? The house, the both parents.
You know that's only on TV, right?
That's not real.
Going to church on the weekend, on the Sundays, doing the family dinners, doing the whole nice life thing, and I can't do it without them getting sick. It's just a pain in the butt.
That's part of life, and that's actually good that they get sick because then their antibodies build up. Because this is one of the most amazing machines on the planet is the human body. So.
You're probably right. My wife, she never gets sick. She worked as a what do you call it? The daycare operator there for a long time. Many years she worked in a daycare, and now she never gets sick ever. She's been exposed to everything. I swear, you could expose her to anthrax, she'd live right through it.
Of course, that music's loud. It's supposed to be. It also means that you probably have your speakers up a little too loud, but still, that's the way to do it.
Come on, John.
Let's go on, Jeff.
Let's bang that head. Oh, Hexy's here.
Yeah, Hexy's here. Tony's here.
I was watching some of Tony's stuff the other day.
John's here. And we got some little hellos to everybody. So we're going to go through that real quick. Oh, look at that. Tony saying, try being a teacher, which is a good point because you have all those snot-nosed kids in your room and you have multiple different crews all day long. So, yeah.
Oh, yes. How about that? So
I can be a teacher, man. I'd kill one to set an example to the others.
Oh, see, there you go. He says that the problem is that you go to church. The problem isn't with Jesus, but with his fan club. That's another way of putting it. Hey, Rich, how's it going? So have a Bud Light and get light in the loafers. Oh, boy.
We're going there.
Topical.
Wow. Hey, Rich, how's it going?
Man, we're getting big topics today.
Chad, how's it going, my friend? And so everybody's just saying hi. We're catching up on everything. Jeff, how's it going, man? And
hey, Jeff.
So we're going to not be controversial right now. No more. I mean, we started out. We got that out of our system, right, guys?
Crap.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Oh, no,
we're going to probably make it worse. So anyway, we're not going to go to Nate right now. We're going to let him get his negative vibes out of his system. Negative waves, man. Got to get rid of them. So we're going to go right to Kev because you were away.
Me? Oh, yes. Week. Hello. Yes.
You were away and not in a government institution for the weekend where you turn yourself in and they let you back out on Monday. None of that stuff. But it was one of those things.
I paid bail.
We don't talk about that anymore. No, but it was where you went to a con and you got to play some really cool stuff, including a game that is in development that you're going to be testing.
Yes, I did. So I had a lot of fun. So I guess a lot of the guys who are on this, and in fact, I know that some of them were there, know about the Advanced After Combat guild and the podcast and all the rest of it. So big shout out to those guys, to Dave Morpin and Jason and the gang and everybody. But Mitch Land runs a conference or a con in St. Louis. And so it's called, I think it's called Donkey Kong is the official name of it.
SwoleCon.
I call it SwoleCon because that was one of the names that was floated and I liked it. It had this big, like, muscular donkey. And that was like the play monster games or go home type of thing. So anyway, I went to that and got to, so there were a whole bunch of great games there. There was a full session of Last Blitzkrieg with all the maps. There was a massive Lace Wars game. There was not Empire in Arms. Some Napoleonic's big game from One Small Step. I forget what it's called. And then there was also what was the other large game? Oh, GTS from
nice.
The British Beaches. So they did the full and actually played the whole campaign and finished it. Did that. And then we were going to play Deadly Northern Lights. We had some challenges and issues with players. And so Ralph and I, who's the developer of the Next War series, he and I pivoted and we decided to play Next War Iran. And so I have not touched Next War for over a year and a half, and we dug into that. And I think that game's scheduled to be P500 and printed and all that sort of nonsense. 2024, probably middle of 2024 or something like that. But we got to get 6-7 turns in and got some solid gameplay in and all the rest of it, and it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Well, you got a series of videos coming out to cover it too, right?
You're still on mute, buddy.
No, I know. I was just passing a little message on to my wife, who's graciously cooking my dinner in the background, and I'm sure that you can hear the wonderful the sounds of homemade cooking, kind
the
of
ambiance of home cooked meal,
white picket fences and loving relationships. Here we go. So anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so I've got a 4-video session coming out. I think one drops tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning. And I got to play some Lock and Load with Tony from Tony's Board Game Live, and hung out. I think there were a whole bunch of people who were bloggers or podcasters or whatever the case may be. So nice. It was pretty cool. Little 4 days. I think I went Wednesday through Saturday. I was there. Anyway, a long answer.
OSS War and Peace is the question.
That's the one. That's what it is. War and Peace. I couldn't remember. Yeah.
So with all those content creators there, we should see a lot of content, right, Tony? I know we already heard from Kev. He's going to have multiple videos talking about Next War, and I'm sure other stuff as well. But what about you, Tony? What are you going to have?
I'm not sure if Tony's going to be sharing his experiences with Lock and Load Tactical with me.
Was it bad? Like as in you got your ass kicked?
Oh, well, he may be new to armored warfare, and I helped him learn a little bit about it the hard way. Yeah.
So basically
were you playing the new one?
We were actually playing Bitter Harvest, exactly, yeah. So we ran an all-tank scenario, and
you thought tanks could take a lot more damage than they could.
I think because one hit, one kill type of thing. But he learned a few things, and I think he needed more tanks, is what it was.
Hey, and did you try the new rules? The like turret destroyed, mobility destroyed, stuff like that. I haven't tried those yet, so I don't know if they're.
I have used them where appropriate, and I'm not a fan of them. But I like the game as it is. I don't like all this extra.
It's too much.
Well, it's just a bunch of extra die rolling, and not a whole lot happens, right? So let's move on and play the game the way it was made, and it's worked for a long time the way it is, and tuning it and tweaking it is awesome, but let's not like fundamentally change so that when you go back and play the older scenarios, that all of a sudden they don't work anymore, which I have experienced with some of the rules. Yeah.
See, now I'm curious because I have not played with those rules at all, and I can't even recall them off the top of my head, but I know that there's some weirdness. I can't remember what it was exactly, but I thought there was some weirdness with those armor rules that I was like,
right.
Wait a minute. you get a turret hit and it's still, it's still in the fight. It's like a turret hit generally. I mean, yeah, you can survive a turret hit theoretically, but if at minimum you're going to have damage moving the turret, traversing the turret. So then it's basically a stug at that point. Obviously.
Well, and it's like OST had the same issue, right? When they released their tank game, where you kept getting MG hits, right?
Yeah.
And nothing happened. Nothing else happened. It's like, well, I've shot that KV-1 4 times. I rolled like a boss, but I hit the MG, and so the MG's out, and it's still not dead. So same thing for any tank, but track hits and stuff like that.
They need to do it like BattleTech does, where you start moving it internally. You take out the outside armor and then you move internally. It's like, well, you took out the machine gun. Okay, well now it pierces through the tank commander's turret. The cupola, I should say, at that point, because that's already taken out. So you could do something like that if you wanted to.
I could see like just including the track hits, right? So lose mobility and just stop there and not worry about the turret destroyed, turret damaged, what mobility law, whatever it was. I forget it. It had something like 6 or 7 new counters for all the different types of stuff. I would probably just go with the track taken out and leave the rest of it.
Yeah. I don't use them. I like lock and load tactical for what it is, the way it is. If I want to play a more detailed, nuanced game down in the weeds with a lot of dice rolling and stuff like that, I'll play Panzer for World War II. But generally speaking, when you hit a tank and you get that penetrating hit, so however difficult it was to get that based on armor and your shots and all that and the dice, it's going to die pretty quickly, right? So I like that mode of combat, and Panzer does that. They do all that side and left and right and top and bottom and all this business, and 2 damages or a kill. And here it can take a little bit longer, and I just think it takes away from the one of the great things about lock and load tactical, which is the cadence of the play and the richness of the narrative. So I avoid it at the moment. I may change my mind in the future.
You mean it slows it down too much instead of just impulse back and forth, boom, 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 boom?
Yeah. I mean, come on, roll the dice. I missed. Okay, next shot. Now I'm going to shoot my MGs. Or okay, I killed it. Boom, you're dead. Put a wreck marker on. Your activation. Off you go. Right. So, now I got to roll again. What is it? It's I took out the something. Put a marker on. Oh, good, another marker.
Yeah, that's the thing about armored warfare. That is, it's really simple. You're basically roughly there's you can get into more nuance, but roughly it's going to be either shrugged off by the armor in World War II, because it doesn't have penetrating value. It just hits the slope at the right angle. It fires off, whatever. And even in modern times, you might get a glancing blow on the ERA or something like that. But modern's different, because basically if you connect, you're gonna kill it more than likely. If it's a tank on tank round, if it's anti-tank on tank, it's gonna kill it. You're gonna get one of 2 things. You're either gonna get a mobility kill or you're gonna get a vehicle kill. So even if the crew is not completely dead, they're probably gonna have to bail. So that at minimum the tank's out of the fight.
Right, and that's what I love about that about MBT, right? Just like when you penetrate, you're penetrating by plus of the number of penetration points you have against the armor. It's like plus 20. It's slicing through button and you're dead.
Exactly. Game over. The plasma jets just took you all out and liquefied you.
Game over, dude.
We can scoop you up and send you home to mom in a glad bag.
Yeah. You need to make sure we mention that this is all expansion related, so it's not directly tied to the core.
Oh yeah, it's not core. Yeah. Yes, it's optional. Yes, it's only in the yes. And I played with those rules in that module. It's not in the base module, but I think it would be cool for, let's say if they did a World War I module, and because that's the early tank era, and maybe they're trying to work out,
where people could outrun tanks.
Where to shoot tanks, right? Because no one knows, and so who knows? So it could be cool there, but not for World War II.
Yeah, no. Once you get to World War II, especially later World War II, it's everybody had more I would say there's more parity across the board. It was still in the Germans' favor to a degree, but it was more parity across the board than it was early war, and especially early to mid war. And then you have modern era, which is, you're talking different vehicles altogether. You're talking different weaponry, different ranges, everything. It's just like watching Fury. Sure, that tiger is really going to run out and take on those Shermans. It doesn't need to. It's going to let you come at it. It's going to pick you off as you come towards it.
That guy would have been backing up the whole time because they couldn't penetrate him from the front.
No, he would have just sat there and let him come in and just drilled them. The only accurate thing in that scene was as they were backing up, they popped smoke in his face. They blocked their view. That was accurate. Aside from that, it's like, yeah, we're going to take off or we're going to surround them. Okay, yeah, that you want to get behind them, but it was like, you're not going to charge at a tiger across open ground. I mean, it's no. Unless you have to know,
But that's a real tiger, right?
Was it? Was that a real tiger they using it?
Or wasn't it some other tank then mocked up as a tiger? I thought, wasn't it?
No, it's a real tiger.
That's pretty cool.
They damn, there's a name of it, and I could have told you, but now
aren't there like two of them running in the world?
I think there are two operational in the world. Yeah,
another one, but that one is a specific World War II tiger that they got permission to use in the movie. So yeah, it's actually a real World War II.
John Sy says it was a real tiger.
Nice. Well, we know it wasn't 007. That's for sure.
And yes, Chad Mo wasn't a tanker; he was a cook.
Yeah, cooked crunchies. Yes, I was a tanker actually. Unlike Gimpy, who's his jealousy of main gun size is just very obvious.
Yeah. Gotta say. Well, I wish I thought a tank. I wouldn't be walking with a cane now.
True.
Well, there's the thing.
Armored Humvee was not as resistant to a landmine as I would have preferred.
This is true.
Was that an up armored Humvee, or was it just a regular?
Actually, the Humvee I was in, it was an A3. It was the only actual up armored Humvee that we had on the lot. The rest of them were ones that we had like welded plate steel to.
Right.
And if I had been in any other Humvee besides that one specific one, I'd be dead.
Yeah, they were hosing you out. Yep.
Yeah, it would have obliterated. It just would have exploded. But that one had 4 inches of composite steel around the cabin, so we were able to withstand the blast.
Right.
We took shrapnel and stuff, but we survived. You can tell from I'll show you a picture later, but it blew everything apart except for that armor bit that was around us.
That's cool. Well, dude, we're glad you're here because otherwise we'd have no one to pick on, and that would be
exactly. So you know what?
I would be the butt of the jokes, right? So it would suck.
That's it. Yeah, Tiger 131. Yeah.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, that's what it was called. That's it. Yeah, Bovington. Yep. Exactly.
Okay, I got to catch up on these comments here. There was one up here I wanted to get to. We have Christoph saying that just starting with war games, welcome to the crowd, and already 30 games on his wish list. I have some DVG, Enemy Action Kharkov, Next Combat 1, and the Lock and Load game. So you got a good start there already with 30 games on your wish list.
Good.
Well, I mean, it depends. Like, okay, so the DVG games, I'm curious which ones you got. So if you could post that in there, Christoph, we'd like to know that.
Yeah.
Enemy Action Kharkov.
What is he playing right now? I'd be curious.
Yeah, what are you playing now?
Face. She was trying to be.
Wife is coming in.
Oh, boss lady, and you complain to me about my wife cooking, and your wife just barges in there and causes trouble.
My kids always go to bed around this time, so they like to come in and say goodnight.
Look at you! Come on, let's see the kiddos.
Say goodnight real quick. All right. Tell them good night.
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 All right, I'll see you later, baby.
I'm in a tank right now, an alcohol tank.
That's awesome.
Fury, more like boring. That is true. It was. It had parts that were okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
if you watch it for what it is, it's a movie, right? It's like Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, it's like T-34. You watch T-34. That it's on YouTube. It's a Russian movie. It's fantastic for action.
The ghost tank one.
Is it the Ghost Tank one, or was it
where it's the one surviving T-34? Oh no, it's the
no T-34 is the guy. They get this one crew and they put him in a T-34 that is like roomier than a Winnebago. I mean, they've got like people inside. I was like, why don't we have a cookout while we're in here?
Yeah, I think I've seen it.
It's just hilarious. So Chad was a grunt too, and then Ken says, Ken, yes, I did say Ken, not John, because it's the ongoing joke with me and John C. He says Mo, I say Ken because he looks like Ken T, because Ken is Philippine, just like he is, and that is the ongoing joke. It is no disrespect. John knows that, and it's an ongoing thing with us. Tiger 131 was preserved at the Tank Museum in Bovington, England. It was the only operating Tiger tank in the world. This tank was used in the 2014 film Fury, first time for a real Tiger. That's pretty awesome. What else do we got here? Oh, yeah, they had a mocked up one in Saving Private Ryan. They do that in all of them.
That's what it was.
You can usually tell by the suspension too, and that's true. Be careful, Chris, before you know it, 300 and you wonder what happened. That is very true. Now, this one right here, Beast. Mm-hmm. This is a fantastic tank movie. This is actually a pretty accurate movie too. It's one that if you are interested in tanks and the Afghan war with the Soviets, it's definitely one to check out because it's really interesting.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah. I can't remember the guy's name.
Or is it?
I'm trying to remember. Is it Charles Durning that's in that? I forget. The other guy, I can't remember his name, but I can think of their faces. Someone else will go out there and look up the IMDb and put who's in the movie up there for us, I'm sure. But it is definitely a great movie. White Tiger is the ghost one.
Yeah. I actually, as bad as that movie was, I liked it.
Well, there's nothing wrong with having a movie that is not accurate, be good, as far as enjoyable.
It just was entertaining,
Exactly. I mean, there's some fun lines and things like that about Fury. At least the tank commands were accurate, which I thought was pretty cool. So at least they got that part, but I thought it was interesting, a different take on things to have that. And, even Saving Private Ryan is not exactly 100% accurate. So Christoph says
100% accurate.
Lanzerath Ridge, Warfighter Modern, Special Forces, and Thunderbolt Apache Leader. So that's actually a good mix of games right there. Lanzerath Ridge is one of the Valiant Defense series from David Thompson, and that is a really interesting and fast, easy to play solitaire system that he's got going there. Warfighter is another one that's actually fun, and then Thunderbolt Apache Leader is very well regarded by a lot of people.
Should we mention the Kickstarter they've got going on now?
We're going to go back to this for a second. This is actually something that John actually started. But no, he's saying, is it because we're both Asian? You can't tell us apart. I can tell you two apart. I've met you both in person. I know both of you guys. And he wears glasses. You don't. So that's how I can tell you guys apart. Ha ha. That sounded a little more racist than it probably should have to some people that don't know us and don't realize we're joking.
Right. Well, here's the funny thing. So
they can't tell white people apart, right? I've heard that
exactly
the same problem that we have. Right?
Exactly. So there was a guy I knew, and we'll not worry about how I knew him, but there's a guy I knew that was in Asia getting on a bus, and he was asking at a conference, and he was getting on a bus to go back to the hotel. And it was all the conference attendees, and he said, "Hey, did so-and-so and so-and-so turn up?" And the Asian bus driver goes, "I don't know, you all look the same to me." So it happens in multiple races. It's okay. Yeah.
See, that's why if anything ever happens to me, I'm moving out to like Japan, and it's just going to be a smorgasbord as far as I'm concerned. Bunch of beautiful women as far as the eye can see.
So the cast for Beast was George Zunza, Jason Patrick, and Steve Bauer. And that was the guy I couldn't remember. It was George Zunza. That was the one I was thinking. It actually started when Mark Herman had mistaken him for Ken at WBC. And I mentioned to you when you were interviewing him. Okay, so you did start it, though. So it was not.
That's funny.
But that was the whole thing. So, yeah, that's actually a great set of games you got there, and he's got EA Kharkov on the table right now.
That's
and
nice.
that's good. But if you're trying to figure out the game, one thing to remember, and this is directly from John Butterfield's mouth himself, don't try to play the solitaire game yourself, without any experience with the game. Learn the 2-player game first, then go to the solo modules, because it'll make it easier. Yeah, because all the basics, the basis of the game is based on the 2-player, and it'll make it easier to go into the solitaire things.
Well, Kharkov is easier than Ardennes.
It is. And, we also have 3 different videos for that game. We have the 2-player, the German solitaire, and the Soviet solitaire that we did for the Learn to Plays. So.
Is it still chip ball for Combat Res?
Yes. Yeah.
But it's great. I love it. I got to say, Kharkov is outstanding in the way that it plays, because that chip ball mechanic gives the ability to account for things that you just can't with dice and modifiers, right?
No, but anyway, I'll agree to disagree, but sure.
Now, this is a good point that George Zunza played Cobb. He played Chief of the Boat in Crimson Tide. However, he did look like the chief who ate the boat in Crimson Tide, because he was a fairly rotund fella, but he's a good actor, really good actor. I always liked him.
That's the one that had what's his name, and Denzel Washington, right?
Yes.
Right, where they're in the sub and they're trying to figure out if they want to launch or not.
Yep.
Is that
was a real good movie.
So
that was a really good movie.
Talking about where he
Chief of the Boat.
I don't know who the Chief of the Boat is.
If you remember the movie,
he was the Asian guy.
He was the heavy set guy, the very heavy set guy.
Wait, that was a white guy.
Yes. No, you're thinking of the cook who died, and the captain was saying it was his weight. It was a bad heart. No, it wasn't. It was the smoke inhalation. But Chief of the Boat is the guy I was talking about.
I'll have to go back and look at the cast again, because I remember a fat white guy, or maybe
that was Chief of the Boat.
Okay, never mind. I'm thinking of a different thing. It's been a while since I've seen that movie.
But it's a great flick. And speaking of Denzel, they just released the trailer for Equalizer 3 today.
Ooh, I want to see
That's going to be awesome.
Oh, really? I need to watch that.
Yeah.
It's not John Wick, but it's pretty good.
John Wick's fantastic, but
haven't seen it yet, so no spoilers.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen 4 yet either. But what I want to see is at the end of it, because they're saying this is the final chapter for Equalizer 3. Someone needs to figure out a way to get John Wick and McCall to hook up and have like everybody go against them. That would be awesome.
That would be cool.
John Wick's awesome, but they've got another movie coming out that looks like, was it that Finnish version of John Wick set in like World War II?
Oh yeah, dude! You see that guy? He's got like a shield and all that bullshit, and he throws the mine. It lands on the guy's helmet and blows up. Yeah.
It was way over the top, but it looks
epic. It looks so funny, hilariously epic. I want to watch it so bad.
Yeah,
John Wick on the eastern front.
Yeah, shield up and blocking the machine gun rounds, and then
ting, 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 ting.
Yeah, that looks so good.
Yeah.
And a director's cut of Crimson Tide is a deleted scene where Denzel and Cobb go back and forth about his weight problem. Then they go and get a burger at the galley. Now I have to see that if I can find that.
Probably is a lot of fat, Navy guys running around, a bunch of fat Army guys running around. Look,
I think I was fat in every branch.
No, not in every. Well, there were
the Marines.
Fat Marines. I can't say anything. I told you we had that one guy that ate his way out of the Corps. He literally gained weight until they kicked him out. That was his sole goal. He didn't want to get deployed again, so he decided instead of popping for drugs, he would just eat.
Wow. That's one way.
They gave him chance after chance, and he told them, like, how fat do I have to get before you guys kick me out? Because that's how big I'm going to get. By the time he was done, his camis looked like spandex, dude. He was. What
do they get him with?
It was bad conduct.
So they did give him big chicken dinner, not OTH.
Failure to. It's not failure to adapt, but failure to something. Failure to not be a fat and nasty person.
Should have thought of that before you joined up. You do realize what the job of the Marine Corps is, right?
We deployed once, and he didn't want to deploy again. So he decided he was going to.
Well, you don't get a choice in that, right?
Yeah.
So,
You had the choice the first time when you enlisted. So after
Yeah.
that, it's like, you know,
Yes,
hey.
dumbass.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, there was a different mindset. That first time we deployed, all the guys were excited. I was the same way. You know, everybody was real excited and, you know, gung ho to go.
Adventure into the unknown. Yeah.
Yeah. The second time I deployed, you could tell who had been the first time and who hadn't been, because the ones who hadn't been had that excitement. And the ones who had been, we weren't excited this time. We knew where we were going this time. We're like, no, we just want to come back.
That's warfare, right? That's what it's about, you know.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, it's very true. So, what have you been playing, Gimpy?
Actually, I have a little pal next to me.
Okay, so now that he's off screen,
I got sent this one.
Can't see anything, man. You got your Bitter Harvest Nazis up there. We can't see.
Julius Caesar.
Nice.
Second edition.
This is Columbia Games.
Yep.
Block Games. They got a Kickstarter going on about this, and I'm not big into block games, but block games are actually growing on me a little bit. So I've been playing with this one. It was kind of interesting. They have a different way that they do some of their games. Some of them are area, some of them are hexen counter type or hexen block type, and this one is what they call like roads. So it's, instead of going to areas, you're trying to control cities that are on the map. So stay tuned for that. I'll have a video up.
So have they changed it then from the first edition? Because I played the first edition one. They sent me an email asking if I wanted to do the, you know, interview free copy thing, and I'm kind of like, sure, but have you read the rules yet? Do you know?
Yeah, I just got done reading the rules. I watched the tutorial that they had referenced. Cool. As far as I know, nothing is different. Maybe improved components, but the rules don't seem any different.
Okay, I'll have to check it out.
The video, I mean, was spot on with the rules. So I think this is like just the second edition.
Right.
Maybe.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
And
cool.
Then
what else, mate?
We got the Onus.
What is that?
That's
hold
coming
that up. Hold that closer.
The onus is on us.
This
expansion
is the one
pack or something?
The card game, remember?
That's that card battle game, right? Where you set up the cards in the middle and you fight over them.
Didn't you guys do it? You guys did a session without me. I don't think I was there for that.
No, we didn't do a session, but I think I bought like the first edition of that game when it came out several years ago.
Yeah, this was second edition. It's the one where you got like phalanxes and cavalry and elephants, you know, that whole type thing. But instead of being represented by a counter or a miniature, you're using cards. So the cards have the
look what the cat drug in.
Hey, Stuka!
In Louisville.
There he is.
Louisville, what? Louisville, Kentucky.
He's relocating his younger son there. Outstanding.
That's actually not too far from me. Stuka, if you drive the 6 or 8 hours, I can't remember where, east.
And John says he has the expansion to your game, Onus.
No, it looks like it's going to be
Tough
really
crowd.
good. I think I'm going to enjoy it because it's all about phalanxes and trying to, you know, maneuver your troops and that type of gameplay. Archers, cavalry chargers, shield walls, the whole nine. But I like how it's represented with cards. So as soon as I get done with Julius Caesar, I'll be doing that one because I'm already finished up with Fighters in the Pacific, which they do have a Kickstarter going on now, Fighters of Europe. If you guys
nice.
Oh, that's right. You've been doing that minis game with Fighters in the Pacific, right?
No, it's not a minis game.
Well, okay, whatever. Looks like a mini. To me, it looks like a minis game. So it has little tiny pieces that are like, you know, a carrier is 2 hexes long, and you've got little airplanes you fly around. It's a mini scale.
The rules are similar enough. The one side of the counter is low altitude, the other side's high altitude, but it works really well. Plus, they can keep the cost down since instead of using miniatures, they're using counters. so they can have the core game cost like $50, which is really good for the amount of gameplay that you get in it. I combined it with my 3D printer, so I actually did have miniatures for the carrier.
Oh, is that what you did?
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool.
And it worked really well. The counters actually fit perfectly because you're supposed to be able to fit 3 airplanes on their counter of a carrier. And I could fit 3 on my miniature that I printed out. So it worked really well. I was kind of hoping they might see that and say, hey, Gimpy, here, we'll send you a copy of Fighters in Europe and you can talk about it. But I didn't get the video up soon enough.
So Christoph already going with the expert level right here. He's playing the advanced game and he's just new to war games. He said playing Memoir 44 against his girlfriend.
That's a classic.
So that's smart to get the girlfriend involved because then she's on board. Even if she's not playing, she'll
with
support
the big collection.
Yeah.
Their bedroom is his. No negotiation.
Exactly. Well, you need more room for your games. Ooh, nice.
Well, honey, how are we gonna play Epic Memoir 44 if we don't have a big table?
This is true. Get her involved, get her into it, and then she'll be like, "Oh, we need to play this. We need to get another couple over, and we'll play boys against girls."
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Let's not go to bed. Let's stay up and play a game. What?
Did I tell you the story of trying to teach the wife how to play Warhammer 40,000? Like,
really, you tried to teach her?
She didn't understand there were dice in the game. And I'm like, well, how do you think that we played the game against each other? And she's like, I thought you just lined them up against each other and went pew, pew, pew. And like, I got you.
Wow.
Like, it's not toys, huh? That's not how this works. There's an actual game. And she was just mind blown that there was an actual game and measuring rulers and dice and rules involved with it. She literally thought we just made cute little dioramas for the kids to play with.
But isn't Warhammer pretty much like it's dice with 5s and 6s?
Yeah, pretty much.
I couldn't hear you toned out.
Isn't Warhammer, for all intents and purposes, isn't it buckets of dice as you hit on 5s and 6s?
Pretty much. I mean,
that was my impression of seeing it too. Yeah,
they're coming out with a 10th edition now, which
just sell more product.
Yeah.
They
change it just to change it now.
Don't people ever wake up to that?
Urban Operations, baby. I know you got yours the other day. Twilight 2000 Urban Operations. That came in yesterday.
Yep.
And Kev got his in, I think, on Saturday.
Yep.
So nice. It's
set
in Krakow. Cool. So yeah.
Did you see all the maps and stuff?
Oh man, I couldn't believe how many maps there were in this thing. I was like, damn, there was like so many maps.
I'm so pumped. Yeah, I can't wait.
That's going to be pretty awesome. And
we still haven't played the first one. I mean, what do you?
Well, it's just an expansion. It's not a second edition or anything. But I'll tell you what, Free League is really impressing the hell out of me. Their quality of their stuff is fantastic. The art is amazing, and they're just pumping it out on a regular basis, and they're giving you support. Like if you buy the hard copy, you get like a discount on the digital version of the game set where you can play it online with your friends, things like that, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
So
pre-release before it ships as well.
Yes.
So
and the minute you buy it, you get the PDF, and then you get updates of the PDF as it's released. Yep. And then of course you get the hard copy when it comes out. So I mean, they're doing it right.
They have all the apps for it as well. So all the maps are preloaded into that app. I haven't downloaded any of those things because I just don't use them at the moment. I do it all. I'm just playing solo just to kind of get a story going. So it's kind of fun. But
true.
It's interesting.
So Stuka Joe is saying, check out 12 Hours at Malim, new tactical game of the German assault to take the airfield. Publisher is Snafu.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Did I mispronounce that? Is it not Malim? Is it Malame?
Hex encounter with action point. Looks like some sort of action point system.
Okay.
Oh, everyone's going to go to the internet, to the cloud.
Yeah, I'll have to look.
Okay, I like to look at that.
Okay, thanks, Nick. That really tells me. Is it Malim? Malame. See, now that's it right there. Malimi? Is that what it is? Malimi? So this is that's the key. Malimi.
Is it, where is it in France or where is it again?
Mole. I'm not sure. Snafu is a Spanish publisher. The game is in English, so that's great.
Yeah.
Christoph, now I have 31 games on the wish list. We haven't even gotten started yet on getting you to. We'll hit you up to 40 before the night's over.
Look, you need to check out some of our videos because I know I've done some. Mo's done some. I think Kevin's done some, like top, whatever, top solitaire, top hex encounter, top small. Check those videos out. You'll have a list of 100 games worth getting.
You won't have any top games from me. I never do those videos.
I thought you had.
Everyone's, I've gotten my chops busted for not doing my top 10 games of this and my top 5 of this. I just never do them because my top games this month will be, if I give you my top 5 games of 2022 this month, I would probably come up with next month or in 6 months, that really wasn't that 3 of those games really shouldn't have been in that list. Here's the 3 that should have been in that list.
Right,
I'll change my mind. So I don't do that.
Even my list has done a top 10.
But plus, it's hard if you don't play them all. It's really hard to because you see some guys just punch out lists, and I would be reluctant. I like to say these are the games I enjoyed the most in the last 12 months, and that's my top 10 for the year, top 10 gameplays or experiences. But that's about it. Yeah.
Kev, I kind of got to agree with you on that because I remember for last year I did my top 5 of the year. And one of my rules was it had to be something that I played.
Right.
And I see some of these guys doing my top 10, my top 20 or whatever of, 2022, 2023. And I'm like, there's no way that you played every single one of those games. You might have opened it. You might have.
I read the rules, kind of.
Right.
Yeah. But there's no way you played every single one of those games.
Right. It's like if I said to you that Next War Around was going to be one of my top games for the year, I've only played 6 turns of it. So it would be hard for me to justify it unless I really thought it was exceptionally good based on what I'd seen so far, because I haven't experienced the whole spectrum of the game. And it's a type of game where it might actually take, if you play it properly, unlike I did, it might take the Allies 5 turns before they actually send any boots on the ground into a round because they're shaping the battlefield, right? They're bombing the crap out of stuff and using cruise missiles and gaining control of the seas and all that sort of stuff. So you haven't really experienced any of the game. So for someone to turn around and say, "Oh, it's my favorite" after 1 play or half a play or whatever, that's tough unless you're like a mega fan of the whole system and stuff like that. Hang on,
it's really going to depend on the game and get pulled away. No, it's going to depend on the game. Because, right? What's that one? The Civil War one.
The Most Fearful Sacrifice.
Most Fearful Sacrifice. I did something like 12 videos on that game, right? Now, in the grand scope of how much of the battle did I get to, I didn't get to a huge amount of it, but I did cover a huge portion of the game, right? I filmed hours of this game. So I could honestly say it was good without experiencing the full 3 days because I had experienced a good portion of the game. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it depends on the size of the game. A game like Next War is going to be rather large. So a couple of turns of Next War might be equivalent to 20 turns of a different game.
Sure.
Yeah. I think, for something like Next War Iran, for example, to talk about that, it would be proper to say, it wouldn't be proper to say, oh, this is my, the best game I've played or whatever. But it would be very proper to say, if you felt this way, to say, it's one of my most anticipated games for next year. Definitely because I'm excited what it has, and I'm excited to experience more of it, things like that. But that's one of the reasons why I'm not going to sit down and do a list, because I don't like to give lists on games without having played them deeply enough. And I don't think we play war games deeply enough, often enough. I love NATO. I don't feel like I've played that one as deeply as I should.
We don't get the chance to do that, right?
True. There are other things that get in the way, and then of course, if you're doing content creation, you have to be on that constant.
You're a real YouTuber though, dude. You put out the content.
What? Like you don't? Are you talking to me or?
I was going to say
I'm talking actually to both of you. Like, so I mean, I'm saying you guys you'll defer to getting good quality, high quality content out over, to a certain extent, it seems to me, based on what I see, versus what am I trying to say here? Versus, say, just going deep diving and playing some game 4 times and going, oh, it's the best thing, and just going after it, right? So you know what I mean, right? So me, I just kind of I meander around and shit happens.
Actually,
I think people wouldn't watch you if they didn't like what you're putting out, right? There's room for different types, right? It doesn't have to be all of one or
people
all of
turn into Kev for 2 things. People turn into Kev, well, 3 things actually, because he's a notorious asshole. Number 1, number 2, because he likes to burn games, and number 3, actually, that would be the second one. Number 3, because he likes to execute dice. So anybody who's watched Kev's channel long enough knows exactly what I'm talking about.
You know, I actually burned a game recently myself, and I felt bad about it because I almost felt responsible in a way.
I felt like I was in the middle of an Old Spice commercial there for a second. With the whistling sound.
it's the fucking dishwasher or the oven or one of the 3 stupid LG, Samsung, Korean crap that keeps going off all the time. It's unbelievable.
Don't call him that. He has a name.
So you were saying before I cut you off, Nate. Sorry.
I burned Sniper, the Compass's recent game, and I was saying that I wouldn't recommend that one, and I felt bad saying it because I had a preview of it, and I felt like I had let them down in a way because I didn't get back to them with feedback that I should have during that early access time that I had. To be fair, that was while I was in the hospital, so I was almost, kind of cutting myself a little slack on that one.
Dude, I mean, come on. It was just a heart attack. I mean, it's not a big deal. You could have taken 5 minutes.
It's not like you died exactly. You could have at least written up your notes while you're laying in there.
Could have dictated your notes on your phone. Come on.
But I did feel kind of bad burning them on it. I feel bad when I burn someone if I say I don't recommend something.
I don't think he understands what he means by your burn versus his burn.
Well, I'm not talking about your burn.
I'm going to
literal barbecue.
I'm going to get some water. I'll be right back.
Go ahead.
See, that's what he's saying.
He's putting out the fire on the other game he just lit on fire. But no, there's nothing wrong with saying that a game has problems if it does. And one of the things is people will complain that YouTubers are too positive on games, not ripping into them enough. And then they want people to rip into them, and then they get on board with, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. This game, got ripped apart. If it's fitting, it's fitting. If it's not, it's not. If you're doing it for views, it'll be seen through. My thing has never been, I do some reviews, but I'm more informational is what I aim to be, and educational. It's like, hey, you want to see what's in this game? Here's what this game's about. Here's the components. And if you want to know how to play a game, here's how to play this game. I don't have the time or the desire, honestly, to sit down and play through a lot of games on video, because people may not realize sitting down and doing a proper playthrough is time consuming. It really is.
Ungodly time consuming.
You can sit there and, because you did the whole lock and load tactical thing where you broke down all the rules into different videos. Yeah, if you're to sit down and do a game accurately, which most people, and he's here and then he's gone. He's back in stealth mode. Which most people do when they do those playthroughs. There's a lot of inaccuracies for many reasons. Number one, wargamers make a lot of mistakes when we play. It's part of it. So Christoph, you're new to wargaming. Go easy on yourself when you make mistakes, because we all make mistakes repeatedly when we play wargaming.
But he leaves his mic on. Do you notice?
Of course, you got to hear him. Him challenge.
Kevin, your mic's on.
It's muted now. He's like,
I'm hungry. Shut up.
Yes. Yeah, the game was so bad.
So Joe was saying the game was so bad it gave you a heart attack. No, actually, it wasn't that bad. But no. And here's another good point. John saying it. I don't think Compass Mine's bad review as long as you don't literally burn the game or throw it in the garbage, which is true. I mean, if you have criticism, I think any publisher that is worth their salt will appreciate any coverage they get, positive or negative. And if your negative feedback is constructive, and I think you need to, if you're going to rip a game apart because it's flawed for whatever reasons, the rule book stinks, the player aids are a mess, or the gameplay itself is just all over the place and it makes no sense, whatever it is, just present it in a coherent manner and explain it. And if there are some issues in the game that you have with the game, if you can say, here's some flaws that I found in this game, here's what I suggest could be fixes, because not all games that may be bad or, have some shortcomings are failed games. Maybe they just need a little bit extra love. So you can suggest some house rules and things like that to improve.
That's really where they were. I would like to see a second edition of that one where the corrections are put into it, because it really just seems like it missed out on development time. Like it could have used some Mo love before it was sent out. Speaking of which, I actually had you in a recent playthrough that I did.
You had me what now?
I had you honorably mentioned in the in-country playthrough that I did.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
you got me killed on it when I was stacked up at the door and I went in and I got friggin' fragged before anybody else. Or
no, the name of the scenario was called Mohawk Down.
Nice.
Nice. You were captured, and the little ranger team had to go in there and try to rescue you. Sorry to tell you, they failed. I was
going to say I probably died in the end anyway. So
no, you were recaptured.
Oh, you guys suck.
They recaptured you. You're tortured. Sorry, buddy.
See, the problem is you sent in the Rangers. Should have sent in the Marine Corps, and then I would have been good. No offense to my Ranger brothers out there. I mean, we love you. Our Army brethren. We do love you.
Well, that's why I was giving them a lot of hell, because the guys who designed them, of course, they're Army Ranger guys. So I had to give them a lot of shit over it. But they're the ones I told you about that collect for that the charity, the military.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, I've got a video coming up on that too, because I've got that in country and got the massive amounts of terrain that comes with it too. So,
dude, I'm telling you, you got to get the files, right?
I need a 3D printer first before I do that. I can't see it. You have to go. There you go. Now it looks good.
Yeah, those are the ones.
But I got all the 3D. Minis. But I got all the minis, and I'll tell you what, I got some close-ups of the minis in the video, and these minis, I'm telling you right now, for plastics, the detail on them is really fantastic. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's as good as metal, and metal minis always have great detail, but these ones have, I would say, finer detail, crisper detail, even than metal, because that's the benefit of plastics over the metal. So they did a really fantastic job. It is also fragile too. So it's one of those things, like if you're going to play a miniatures game, to protect your minis, you're going to have a proper case to put them in, padded and everything else. If you're going to invest in that, you're going to spend an extra $30 or $40 and get a padded case for them, or two.
That's why I like the 3D printing files, because they are just as good. They look the same, right? Because I got 1 month of their subscription service so I could get all the files, and I ended up with something like 18 minis, I think, just for 1 month that I could print off, including even some motorcycles that look really cool. So if I break these, I don't give a shit, because I can just make more of them.
So now I'm going to go back to something for a second, because I thought this was funny. And they're talking about Crete, right? And Malame, whatever it is, Malimi, whatever. And then John goes, I have trouble pronouncing Crete. I just thought that was great.
Isn't that this little island there?
Yes. John is like, Heracleon used to be my password in the late 90s. So I thought that was funny. I wanted to go back up there to bring up that Crete thing. So yes, I am going to look up how to pronounce that properly.
So another thing about sort of giving feedback on games necessarily is also that it may just be it's not for you, right? So you may play a game and it's not for you, and you don't enjoy it. So that
true.
I'm playing Compass Games Carrier Battles right now, and I'm not really
you're not feeling it.
I'm not feeling it's not I'm not as enthusiastic about it as I thought it would be. I liked the first carrier battles, and I'm trying to work out what it is that I'm not getting, and I think it's
the rules.
A lack of the rules probably aren't the best. I will say that they're not bad, but I think it's more the consistency of the time that I'm investing. So I've had it broken up over sort of a period of time, so I'm almost not quite, but almost relearning as I go. So that tends to slow things down, and then you're looking stuff up. You kind of go, oh, well, this is a pain in the ass, and I don't care, and why do I bother? That's a Philippine C.
If only somebody did a video to help ease that learning curve.
Yeah, but I know, but I can't. I can't You did a great video, but I'm not going to pull the video up. I'm just rulebook oriented. I don't even go to the PDF, right? I go to the book. Right. So that's one of the issues when playing with Ralph. I was like, I need my rule book in my hand, not PDF. And he was kind of the same way.
I find it faster to flip through the rule book than it is to search a PDF. That sounds really counterintuitive, and it doesn't make sense. And it is actually faster to search through a PDF.
Right.
But visually,
Control F victory conditions, and then there's 27 of them. So you got to click through all of them and find the one you want, right?
But you can easily scan through a book because you learn landmarks on the pages.
Right.
Oh, it's not this page, it's the next page. Boom. There it is.
It's right near here. Yeah, exactly. So I prefer that. But the whole judgment, I guess it really is a judgment, right? It's a judgment call based on your experience with the game, and here's what you experienced at a point in time. And I know I've played a game and said there, and then come back to it 2 or 3 years later and played it again and gone, oh, this is pretty good, right?
This is true.
So that happens a lot, right? People. Because I know I started out with BCS with Last Blitzkrieg, and I was super excited about it, and I really didn't like it when it first came out. And then once they got to the version 2 rules, I think it's a much better game and better system now than it was. And any criticism I raised against it was like, oh well, you how dare you, right? MMP, Dean Essig, BCS, don't you dare. So stupid.
But the thing is,
I don't know how you guys are getting by on those rules, because I just can't stand it. I wish they had done a regular damn rule book. They could have kept the playbook the same and had.
What you talking about? Philippine C?
Yeah.
Philippine
C, it's killed me because I can't just read the rule book, and for some reason I can't get it into my mind. The way it's broken down, it just doesn't fit. And for me, I always hit a point when I'm reading on the rules where it finally starts to dawn, and I'm like, okay, I get it. This is making sense. Do this, and this. And I've read this rule book more than once, and I can't get it to stick no matter what. For some reason, it just doesn't work for me. I think breaking down the scenarios into little pieces so you can learn the game if you want to do it that way is fine. But just have a regular rule book, because I can't think of the number of times I've read in that rule book that, hey, this part, it doesn't go here, or it doesn't apply to this scenario, but chronologically it goes here. So we're going to put it here, but you need to remember it for later.
Yeah. It's like exceptions.
3 or 4 times, right?
Yeah. That becomes like exceptions. Well, this will happen. Combat is going to be handled like this, unless it is the second Tuesday of November in an odd numbered year, then you don't do that. But that only happens 5 times, possibly, if this happens, and that's another option. Yeah, I get where you're going there, but I would say possibly with Philippine C, it could also be a luck thing too, is how much contact you're getting. Because if you're not getting the contact, it's not going to absorb you into it. You're not. And again, I know you were saying that you weren't getting
3 turns. Yeah, I played 3 turns. Guam just got a raid. Yeah. And I had my guys 1 hex away, and I got to do the intercept, and I'm knocked out. I've got 3 airplanes that are headed towards the task force right now. So it's not going to do anything. But that's the first raid that has been run. And as and it could also be, I just look at it like, if I'm facing an unknown force and there's these 20 markers out there, and I don't know which one's the bad guys, I want to hedge my bets about how many strikes get launched against me. So I'm moving my carriers so that I'm only being targeted by the least amount of potential carriers, Japanese carriers. So maybe that's not what happened historically, because the Americans knew that they had knocked out all the bad guys.
True.
So they're a lot more ballsy, and they're just like, oh, come on, bring it. I bring them all. And maybe I'm being too cautious, but that could be part of why I'm not seeing as many raids either, because I'm staying out of range of most of the carriers most of the tokens that are on the board that could potentially be carriers.
Yeah. Are you talking about like the point where the tokens aren't identified yet? So
right, so they're blank, and so they got to roll to launch, but they have to be within a certain number of hexes, and so I'm staying away from them and migrating to the north, to where there's 2 or 3 task forces and one that's exposed that is a carrier level 1, that are also moving closer to the exit where they get VP. So I'm engaging with them, because that makes more sense to me than splitting up the task force into multiple task forces and then have been taken out piecemeal.
See you, John. Your priority took off because you wanted to go play your favorite tactical game, Combat Commander.
To me, it almost feels like they're
look at that. Put Combat Commander up on the screen, and Kev goes off screen.
I'm off. I'm out.
That's it. I'm out. We're not talking about this.
There's too much going on. Like there's too many pieces that are convoluted pieces, because the part of the gameplay where you're having to deal with, is it a carrier task force or not, and then you got to find out the
couple of die rolls.
Yeah. There's a fair amount going on there, but even just with that, there's your task forces to worry about, and are you launching, and where your planes are, and all this stuff. And then when you're stuck in the air, how much fuel do they have? Are they going? And now
the whole management piece.
There's just so much going on that I can't get it all to coalesce.
I can see that. I can see that. I don't mind managing my task forces so much, because it's kind of the thing, right? It's naval warfare and carrier, so I get it, but it's managing and running the AI on its behalf. That chip by chip, move everybody 1 hex, roll to see if they launch. Do they launch? Yes, they do. Okay, then what happens and all that sort of stuff. It's like 3 or 4 die rolls, and then okay, that's cool. Otherwise, it's 1 die roll and nothing happens and move on. But I keep finding myself going back to the rule book and trying to work out what should I be doing next.
Yeah, it never really feels like it's ingrained, and you're just dealing with the play rates.
You're not getting enough reps in it the way it is, the way it's constructed.
Enough flow, right? It doesn't flow, right?
Like you have that programmed instruction like Academy does with their why did I just totally brain dead their tactical game? Conflict of Heroes. They've got that programmed instruction, but when you're getting that programmed instruction, when you play the scenario, you're getting some reps in. So each time it builds on it. So by the time you get through the entire rule book, now you know the whole thing because you've gotten enough reps. Here, this is a kind of a game where, these are the steps, but not everything is always going to happen. And not everything is always going to happen in that order. And some of these things may never happen if you don't get attacked and things like that. So it's hard to get all that to just become, muscle memory, essentially.
Yep.
Like you can with other solitaire games.
Like Sacred Oil, right? Or the Deadly Northern Lights, right? The ones like that are complex games. They're not easy by any means, but you do get those reps in. You have that part of combat goes on enough that you can get to where you're just using the player aids to play the game. You don't feel like you're still buried in the rule book to go on with it.
Yeah, the first half dozen times you get into combat or do something, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to miss a step here, miss a step there, and you're going to catch it. And then each time you do the next rep, you're going to get that piece in. You're going to add that piece in. By the time you get your 5th, 6th rep, okay, now I got it down. And you just have to forgive yourself for the first 5 or 6 that you made mistakes on. And you say, oh, well, this doesn't matter. This is a learning game anyway. I'm just in here playing a half scenario just to get a feel for it. Then I can set it up because now I've got the reps. I'm warmed up. I know what I'm doing. Now I can actually play the scenario for real.
But are we running into the problem that you're going to run into with a Pacific game, right? Anything set in that type of area where you've got large sea battles, lots of moving parts, that you're going to have to abstract so many details that the game can't really be easy to play or accurate, right? You have to pick one or the other, right? There are games set in the Pacific that are easy to play, but they're so abstracted out that it's not even close to simulating it. This simulates it really well, but it's very hard to play the game.
Yeah, I don't know what the kill rates are like yet because I've only had one raid and one intercept. But it's funny that if you go through so I went and scraped the internet looking for all of the air to sea attacks that happened. You can fit it on 3 or 4 pages, and so out of all those, the number of aircraft and the number of ships that were sunk and the number of sorties that were run and all that sort of stuff. There's really not a lot of data. So it's got to be hard as a designer to build, a 1d6, 1d10 percentile chance of sinking something, a ship, an enterprise or a destroyer or a battleship or whatever. It's going to be hard to have the probability distribution that represents what happened, because so much of it was luck based, finding it, getting the right guys, getting through the flak, getting through the zeros. The guys were rearming at midway when they shouldn't have been, and they decided to change their loadouts at the last minute, and so they caught them all on the flight deck. There were so many factors that sort of bring in that luck factor that when you play something like War in the Pacific War, or this thing, or any of the other, there's half a dozen of these things, and they all have these odd sort of combat results tables, and you never really get, like if you play the midway scenario, you never really get what I would call an accurate representation, right?
Yeah.
It's always kind of, close enough or not close enough, but it's there, it worked, but it didn't really, I didn't sink as much as I thought I would, or the Japanese sunk too much, or some bullshit like that.
No, it's true.
That's the thing though. You can, what you're describing there, that issue, I have seen that in a game where it plays differently depending on what part of the world you're in. The Absolute Victory, also by Compass Games.
Yeah.
The European theater plays like a completely different game to the Pacific theater. Now, in a way, it should, because they're so different in how they operate it. But they really were like 2 different games, and it could be played as 2 different games. You could play just the Pacific theater or just the European theater. The ground battles played the same, but the Pacific theater itself was like a completely different game that was tacked on.
Well, you have to remember too, when we look at World War II Pacific and we look at modern day naval, it's a completely different world. The Pacific, and just for scale here on the camera, the Pacific was like this big, and you're looking for this tiny speck. Today, it's the same size, but your coverage is the same size, or mostly the same size.
Right.
It's harder to find those slivers of area that you're not going to be seeing, because we have a greater network of detection than we did in World War II. So,
and then you had all that evolution of technology even during World War II as well that you got to try and count.
No, it's true. No, it's very true. So it's hard to get that without abstracting the heck out of it. And even in modern, you're going to still abstract it as well. So an abstraction is part of gaming. How much detail do you want? Do you want to have 150, 250, 500 pages of detail? Do you want to have like ASL detail? As I always make fun of ASL, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to exit this building here, and I'm going to make the run across the street to the other building. So now I need to roll to see if I trip on the threshold, and then I have to roll and see if I slide on the gravel that's on the walkway out there, and then I've got to roll and see if I slip on the grass, depending on time of day. If it's first thing in the morning, is it very dewy out or not? And then you have a modifier for that. I mean, that level of detail some people might like, but it's like after a while you're like, how many die rolls am I going to do for this crap? I just want to run across the street.
Well, there's a consistency that's needed in abstraction as well.
Yes.
So I was talking to Ralph about Next War Iran, and they try and keep land, air, and naval with a consistent level of abstraction, right? And where where some other games may be highly abstract for naval and not abstract for air, and then land is something else in between the two. It makes it hard for you to kind of grok the system because you're way down in the weeds on A, but you're super up in the sky on B, and then C, you're somewhere in between the two, and it makes it hard to grok that whole system and play consistently and effectively through the rules. So we went through a lot of that because we were dealing with some of the stuff with Deadly Northern Lights in terms of what was abstract and what wasn't, and that some of those inconsistencies really struck home for 3 out of the 4 players. I didn't have a problem with it, but the others did. So there you go.
Well, the other thing with Philippine Sea, I kind of got the read online that when I saw you saying you didn't have any attacks, you didn't have anything going on. So I was like, oh yeah, that'll definitely draw me out of something too. If I'm like, okay, what's the point? Okay, turn 1, nothing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Turn 2, nothing. Turn 3. Okay, guys, where's the game here? Where's the action? Right. I can't, it will turn you off. Remember, and the only reason I say it's totally different game system, totally different experience. But at first you felt the same way about Brief Border Wars, and then you went back and you looked at the game, and then you were like, oh yeah, this is actually a lot better game than I thought it was. At first you're like, this is just junk, and then you liked it. So I'm wondering if maybe
it was junk.
Well, you didn't like it at all.
So it was highly abstract.
Yes, you didn't like it, and then you went back and liked it again, liked it after playing it again. So I'm wondering if Philippine Sea.
Oh yeah,
if you get into it, you may like it more. And same for Nate. If you get more action, you get more reps, then you may feel differently.
Well, think about it like with Silent Victory, right? Dealing with Pacific, dealing with submarines in that case. But there, if you have something not happen, like you don't come across a convoy to go after, that's no big deal because you're just going to the next block and you're searching again. There's a much quicker game flow to get to that next point. And if you miss the first 2, 3, 4, it doesn't matter. You're going to find one eventually, and it's going to take 5 minutes versus 5 hours in carrier battles. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to hate on carrier battles. Maybe it's just not for me because I've got the original carrier, right? And I remember trying to film it way back in the day, and I couldn't do it. And for the longest time, I thought maybe it was just me. I didn't have the war game experience to do that level of a game at the time. But since I'm having so many problems with this one, maybe it's just not a game for me. I don't know.
It could just be you, Nate.
It could be. Maybe I don't have the memory that works for that. I hate it. I want to tear this game up.
Right. Well, one of the things that was a challenge for me was that I'm looking at the turn track, and I know that I've only got a certain number of turns, and now 3 have passed, and I haven't had a chance to launch a strike yet. So there's no way, probably, I don't know because I haven't played it. There's a limited chance for me to exceed the historical result, i.e. win. So that's, you're kind of putting yourself behind the 8 ball because the Japanese are rolling like crap, which is you rolling like crap. And then I'm trying to work out how I'm going to stay alive long enough, but no one's attacking me. So it's kind of weird. Just a funky situation. But I get what you're saying, Nate. It's hard to, if you don't get it and it doesn't flow and you've got to work hard to make it work, and you're trying to record video on it, then you're like, oh, just shoot me now, I'm done. So some of that's kind of what I'm getting to is that, like, well, there's nothing for me to record here because it's really not very interesting.
Well, so here's one about talking about games, to record playthroughs and stuff. My wife was visiting her father a couple weeks ago, so she was gone for a week, and I was like, I got a Friday night that I have free, that I don't have any interruptions from my wife, stopping and poking her head in my office or anything. So I was like, and I could be loud, I could be boisterous or whatever, doing a video. So I said, sure, why not? Yeah. I'm going to shoot The Night, which is a zombie game done by White Dog Games. It's based on Night of the Living Dead. It's a simple skirmish game. So I was like, what? This will be fun. What's that?
I thought you already filmed that one.
No, I filmed a preview on it, and then I did a Twitter playthrough of and stuff like that, but I didn't actually do like a playthrough video. And I was doing a playthrough, and I'm doing the voices, I'm doing the whole thing. This is great. And I'm like, I'm starting to get a little tired. Maybe I'll pick it up tomorrow. You know, I'm almost done. I'm like down to like the last 4 turns, and it wasn't looking good for the humans because I'd already lost like 3. They had died, come back, and things like that. So I was like, maybe I'll just pick it up tomorrow, you know. And I go to stop the video, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll see where I'm at. I'll download it to my computer, and I'll look at it, and I'm like, son of a bitch. I shot that entire friggin' video for like 45 minutes, 50 minutes, something like that. And then my mic on.
No.
Yeah. I was like, shoot me now. I was like, okay, so I guess I'll never shoot this playthrough video because I was like, damn it. I shot this thing and I don't know. I got distracted. I didn't flip my mic on. So I was like, okay, this sucks. Yeah, that's a sign. I'm not supposed to do playthroughs
Right,
like that.
exactly,
So
right.
I'm done.
I feel you. I used to have mics that were battery powered. Those little button batteries.
Yeah, that's what I have.
And I would forget to flick that little damn button.
That's what I did.
Yep. You know, have nothing to show for all my time. So that's why I got rid of it. And I use nothing but mics that plug in, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's got to have its own power source. There's no switch that I have to flip because I cannot stand that. I have done that more than once, and it is irritating as hell.
Yeah, so all you would have had if I had done this would have been me pointing at the thing, showing you player aids, and then doing jazz hands while there was no sound. You know, I could have.
You know what I did when that happened to me one time? I did that with TCS when I was first learning it, and I didn't have the sound, so I sped up video and made it super fast.
Like an old silent film,
and you just saw the counters moving and the dice rolling and it went and all the bits moved and shit like that. It was incredibly boring.
I had a thought similar to that when I was like, well, maybe I could do this, and then I was like, afterwards I was so kind of just mad at myself.
Right,
I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. I was thinking of taking it because it's all in black and white anyway, the graphics on the thing. So I was like thinking, okay, well, maybe I'll just use some filters and I'll give it that black and white with the streaks through the film effect, and then I'll show the video, and then I'll zoom in on whatever's happening in the die roll, and then I'll stop, and then I'll put it like a placard up on screen with text saying, and our hero dies, you know, or something like that, and then, you know, add some crappy silent music, you know, silent movie music in, and try to cut it down to like a 5-minute video. And I was like, you know what, there's way more effort in there than I want to put. So I was like, screw it.
Yeah. See, that's why you have to be careful when you start adding in neat stuff like doing green screen stuff.
Oh yeah.
You know, I started doing more of those videos where you can see me and, you know, what I'm playing and all that crap. And the problem is with that is that means you've got 2-3 cameras going at once, 2 or 3 mics going all at once. And now you're just adding in extra shit that can fail. And all it takes is one of those to go wrong to ruin everything that you've got going on.
The Charlie Chaplin Club.
Yeah, exactly. And extra.
Y'all need to look at his video showing how his little.
Oh, sure, I've seen it. It's cool. But I don't know. I just want to play the games. I don't really care about the video production so much.
Kev is no frills.
Yeah, I mean, if
very no frills.
Well, so 11 years ago, right, I started doing this bullshit when it was really hard with crappy software and crappy PCs and poor internet. No Dropbox upload. You had to take the USB stick out and put it in the friggin' PC to get your video. I was doing stop motion stuff, and it was an hour for every minute, right? So I would rather play the games, and once we get into the new house and all that sort of stuff, I'll be able to get back to doing some live streaming and gameplay, and we'll live with the mistakes, right? I love getting the interaction with folks going, oh, you're an idiot, don't do that. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so no. When I mean no frills, I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm saying you're basically just, here's my camera, here's the tripod. I'm going to just point it at the thing. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to move the tripod around with the phone on it to shoot the video. Whereas Nate and I try to shoot video and try to like edit and stuff, like add a lot more time into it.
You guys are awesome.
Your stuff is just like boom, fast. And I'm like, I need to start doing that. I really do. Just shoot raw video and throw it up. But part of me sits there. I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to raw video. Now I'm going to throw it up there. I'm like, I can't do that.
But see,
part
but
of me
you
goes,
do
no.
but you do educational stuff. Both of you do these great educational videos where you graphics and intros and outros and pop-ups and oops, I made a mistake there. And I'm kind of like, well, look in the comments for any shit I messed up, and we'll talk about it later. Good luck, and don't by all means, do not buy this game based on my gameplay because it's probably wrong.
Exactly.
But I don't. I think for 3 years I did that stop motion stuff and all the edits and intros and outros, and finally I just said, look, I want to play the games and share my experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm really anxious to get back to live streaming and doing more live gameplay and watch you struggle.
Boog River.
Watch me struggle with the game or watch me have fun with the game, right?
Yeah.
Well, the stop motion isn't that hard to do. I'd seen some of the stuff that Stuka had done before, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, well, how do I do that?
Holy crap, Nate, you moved.
Yeah.
You took the show into the living room.
I kept feeling like a fat guy was going to eat me, so I had to change the picture.
I love it.
Don't tell him I said that. He'll get mad. I'm just picking, brother. I'm just picking.
Yeah, but his stuff is so his transitioning, right? So that's not stop motion, it's transitioning, right? From A, B, C, and D. I'm talking about 200 counters on the map, and
you literally push them one at a time.
I literally move every one space. So a line of phalanxes, I'll move everyone one space, take a photograph, move everyone another space, take a photograph. And you've got to keep track of who's activated and how many commands they've used and all the rest. And no voiceover commentary, just music or maybe some text edits. And a full battle in stop motion takes, a great Battles of History battle. It's a minimum of 500 photographs, right?
Don't take pictures. Use a video. Then you've just got one video file, and you cut out the dead air in between. That's the way I do it.
But that takes longer. But it's not the same. It's okay. I'll send you a link privately. I'm not going to put it up here because I don't want anyone to see them anymore because they're pretty crappy. But I'll send you a stop motion video, and you can see it. It's different.
You also, the other thing, I did something similar with NATO when I did that AAR thing where I took pictures and I was playing through the turn. And I was taking pictures, and I continually try to do the same thing to make it easier on myself. I'd move from the top down to the bottom of the map. I would take pictures. I'd write notes. I'd take pictures. I'd write notes. And then I was uploading them to Dropbox, and I was labeling the images, and I would be like, okay, it's going to be this image, that image to match up with my notes so I didn't get screwed up later. Then I sat down and I wrote the notes up in a more coherent manner in a Word document, and then I did voiceovers. And that's a lot of work for like a 10-minute video, 15-minute video. Yeah. People don't realize the hours of effort playing the game, taking the notes. I mean, it takes a 90-minute, 2-hour game session takes 4 hours easy just because you're taking notes and images and stuff.
But you can do that easier now. The Premiere Pro I just right click on it, insert frame hold segment. Boom. It creates a picture for me right there. Yeah. Like in the video.
Sure.
Right,
different software, right?
Yeah,
but like Todd Reed, go ahead.
No, I have to pay for the program, but it's worth it for all the little bells and whistles because it saves me time. Otherwise, I'd be doing that, taking the picture and trying to stitch it all together.
Right. So I'm talking about doing stuff 10 years ago versus before you were born versus now, right? And so I was talking to Todd Reed. He does for his work, he produces a podcast, right? So he uses 5 or 6 different applications to produce a podcast that is 30 minutes. And it takes him 3, 4, 5 hours to do that, edit out all ums and ahs and take out the stuff that doesn't matter and all. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize that because I was thinking a podcast would be just like how we do stuff like right now, turn the camera on and record shit and punch publish.
Like AAC.
Well, so more like that. Right. So I'm more in the AAC crowd of production and publishing than I am in the Stuka Joe, and there's a whole lot of other guys like Aselfo and all the Zilla guy or whatever his name is, and all those other fellas that do all the high end production. I give 2 shits about that. I don't. If you don't like the way I do it, I'll go watch somebody else. I'm just playing. That's all I'm doing.
Well, that's the thing. I think from a creator standpoint, it comes down to what you want to do. You want to just sit down, play, put the camera over. Like you want the viewer to be a person over your shoulder, listening into your thoughts, which is fine. You know, like Nate wants to sit down and talk to people at length about a game and show it in action. You know, which is what he does in his videos. And now you're also using the green screen stuff. You know, Joe, what he does with his stuff, he goes like really intricate, and he has like dollies and lights and cameras and all kinds of super high end, you know, feel to it, which is fantastic. Plus he's got that smooth, silky voice, which just, you know, everybody loves to listen
to. You can talk with an outrageous accent. It sounds really sexy.
Exactly.
You know, can't have kids taking up his money, because I've looked up that stuff is expensive, man. I was like, you know, how much would some of this railing set up? You know,
sure,
they don't get it,
but you can only do a certain size, right?
Yeah, you have to go based on, you know, what your table size is, what your needs are, because you may be able to have a big table, you might be able to get a longer dolly that you can have off the table and just keep alongside the table, or have it in segments. You can break it down, make it smaller, things like that.
Sure.
It all comes down to what your
he fell off the sofa.
That's what I was thinking. He fell onto the floor. He went under the table. He drank himself under the table. But the thing is, you know, it all comes down to how much money do you want to drop out of your own pocket on it, because none of this stuff are people making money on. You know, I mean, contrary to what some people think, and this is the thing that cracks me up, is when these chuckleheads that are in some of the forums, they sit there and go, oh yeah, you know, doing unboxing, it's just easy money. It's like, really? The whole $1.20 maybe that you get out of the friggin' video? It's like, no, it ain't money. Let me tell you, it ain't.
Unless you're a certain channel that charges for reviews, right? So, you know, or channels.
Some channels, you know, allegedly charge for reviews, which I know I know there's like a couple of.
Did you know that legally you're supposed to announce that?
Really?
You're supposed
to charge.
If you are being paid for a product, it becomes a product endorsement.
Yeah.
You have to legally, to post anything on YouTube, you have to say that you are being paid or receive product in kind.
Yeah, which does make sense. I mean,
we all do it. I know we all do it. Right?
Like, you know, they were nice enough to send me, and I always use that terminology to make sure that I announce that they sent me something, because I know that's going to affect someone's opinion over it. If I was sent it versus I bought it, on whether or not they're going to trust my review as much. I just understand that's how people are going to look.
See, now the videography part of it too, it all comes down to what your interest is. Now, for me, I enjoy learning and playing with the editing stuff. I know Joe does as well, because that is its own hobby into itself too. And you can really deep dive into that. Like for the learn to play, as I've talked about this before, I mean, those things take like 20, 30 hours to do, because there are overlays and things like that I create. And like right now I'm working on the next overlay, or the next learn to play for 2040, an American insurgency. And that one has the map in the United States broken down into zones. And I did an overlay for that, which I added into the video. So that way it just pops up and it shows you, these are the zones. It's all of about, I don't know. What's that?
2040? Is that the Compass Games?
Yes.
They just did?
It's that kind of coin kind of feel game to it. Yeah. We just shot that learn to play. I'm working on that. So I was doing the overlay, and the overlay, I mean, it took me, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes, an hour to create an overlay for it. It's on screen for maybe 5-10 seconds. I mean, that's where you invest your time, is into doing things like that. But that helps the video pop. I mean, it helps things in the video pop, so it sticks in the person's head that's viewing it. And that's the point of doing videos like that, is to make it so it sticks with you, and you remember those things when you're playing, because that's the intent of visual learning. And at least that's how I approach it. Now, I'm sure I can find faster ways to do things, and I do have some faster ways of doing some things. But usually I learn that after I've done it the hard way first. And then I learn how to do it the easy way from doing it the hard way. You know, it's like
Dude,
anything
I
else.
can't tell you the amount of times that I've done something in editing and I've done it that way for years because it's how I figured out how to do it. And it takes me 10, 15 minutes to do it. And I have to do it over and over.
I could have right-clicked and done this in 5 seconds.
Yep. And then I find out, you know, a year later that I could just went click and it was done, you know, for the whole video.
Right.
So pain in the butt. Richard, I use Premiere Pro, but there's
big bucks.
There's a difference. If you use Premiere Pro, you're paying monthly for it, but on the bright side, I get the updated software constantly. So I always have the newest version of whatever they have. But if you pay for like the high-end software, you're paying like $300 for video editing software, but it's a one-time purchase, but you don't get the newest version. So you can either pay a smaller amount over time to have the newest or a one-time fee once, but then you have to buy the upgraded versions over time. Personally, I think just paying for it over time is a better way to go. And Premiere works great.
Yeah. Now I use
what do you use? What do you use, Bob?
I use Power Director.
DaVinci,
and that has
free.
That has a that's also a subscription, but it is a month or it is a yearly subscription, and it is probably when I pay for it, I do it yearly. I probably pay a little bit more than you pay for a month of Premiere. So it's way cheaper.
I think 40, 50.
I think I pay like $80, 80 or 100 for mine. So it's like, okay, 2 months a year, but mine's good for a year. And it's just, you get constant updates, and I'm getting the audio, the color director, the video director, the audio director, and the color director. So I can actually change, you know, the LUTs if I want to use those, which I don't. I also do audio because I process the audio for all my videos and stuff too. So all that stuff, it'll even a simple unboxing can take, you know, I could shoot one. I used to, when I look at my old unboxings, I'm like, holy crap, dude, they're terrible. I used to shoot them in one take and I would do it in 15, 20 minutes. Now I shoot one, can take anywhere from, depending on the size of the game, you know, like Third World War probably took like an hour and a half to shoot, maybe longer. And then probably about 3 hours of editing and processing and then uploading. It's probably 5-6 hours total for that, you know, one video for 15, 20 minutes or whatever. So.
Yeah, people don't realize the amount of time and effort goes into all this crap.
Yeah.
No gratitude.
I use Premiere Elements, and it's a standalone. It was the last of it's a 2020 version.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, you know, I paid for it once, and that's it. I'm not a subscription guy. I'm not paying someone every month to have access to software. So
now that's another one. DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve is a free one too, and there's a lot of tutorials for that. But I downloaded it and I kind of played around with it, and then I downloaded Power Director, and I just felt anybody who's used video editing is going to understand this. It just like right away, it just clicked. I was just like, yep, no, I feel right at home here. I felt very intuitive to it. DaVinci is not as intuitive for me. I'm sure I can learn it. Adobe, I kind of played around with it, and I was just like, yeah, it kind of reminds me of what was it, Photoshop. And I was never crazy on Photoshop. You know, it's the same layout, same type of feel, but it's really powerful, and it's got a lot of stuff. Plus, you have so much crap you can download and use. But I am not paying $40 or $50 a month for something that used to cost like $300-400, and then it was yours forever. You know, it's a principle thing for me.
Yeah.
So
I'm kind of old school like that. I want to own the software I use, and so have you guys tried any of the TechSmith products at all, like Snagit and whatever they're Corel something or whatever it is? I forget what it's called now, but
the Corel Video Studio Pro or something like that. It used to be
something like that. I've looked at them. I've tried. I like some of their overlay graphics you can put on video, but the thing I like about Adobe Premiere Elements is that it's image and video editing in one. So, because I like to do, I love just goofing around with the filters.
Throwing filters, yeah,
I love doing that, and just creating cool artsy pictures. Which, unfortunately, my Elements 2020 has decided not to work very well on this current PC, so I've got to wait till I buy a new PC before I can really use it again. So I actually have to log in as a different user. It won't start on my profile.
What was that, Nate?
No, he was talking about OBS. I'm using it right now. That's how I record these videos. Like any of the screen capture stuff, I use OBS.
Yeah.
It's easy. It's free. I don't know. Maybe I have something in Adobe will do it. I've got like 20 programs on that thing, but I don't know all of them.
iMovie.
Some of them they come with like the Photoshop, the After Effects, the Dimension thing, whatever it is. Like she uses some of that stuff for their homeschooling as well. So we're not just using, like, I'm not just using this for the video editing that I do. Like she's using some of it for the kids.
So yeah. So pivoting back to war games,
I was going to say, who
has played because we just went down the hole there. Yeah, who has played the War Diary Guadalcanal, the reboot of the Avalon Hill guide?
I messed around with it. I have not played a full game with it yet, but I like what I saw so far. But again, it was not enough to dig into it. I like the new map. I know you had a problem with the
just where they join.
Yeah, where they're joined the what was it, the creeks, how the terrain features. Yeah,
I was curious about the scale. That's why I was just I didn't have a problem with it. I was just wondering because if I look at the maps and I look at their map, they're completely different. I'm just wondering, that's odd. But the other thing I thought was unusual was because they decided to I don't know if they did or not because I don't have the old version. I could probably actually find a scanned copy of it, but if they made the map bigger, choosing to split the map right at Henderson Field was a really bad choice, right? It would have been better to have one larger map or one smaller map because everything happens right around that area. So
that's the point of the game.
Yeah, hey.
Yeah, that would be split of them. I don't think I have that one. They have the split of the map right at the spot.
It's Henderson Field, right? Or Henderson Field.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of dumb.
Yeah, that was not. It was not. It could have been thought out better. Could have been plotted out better.
Yeah.
Maybe
like the cameras, everything else worked good.
Yeah. They cut off one segment of the map partially or something like that, and moved it down or up or whatever. To not have that on the split point of the map, then that would have been better. But I like what I saw so far, and there's another tactical game that they're working on as well. So I'm really excited to see War Diary pursuing more games, not just letting it die on the vine and pursue more. So that's great because it's another line of games that we'll get to see. And I like the fact that they're revisiting. Mike Nagel has been revisiting some old ones, 1914 and Guadalcanal, and redoing them, updating them, and adding in the errata and changing some things up, streamlining some things, and then redoing it, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, but this is the one where you get a choice, right?
What's that?
You get the subscription for War Diary, and then you get the choice on which game you get.
Well, you can just buy the game.
Is it still
they're now publishing. Nate,
through Blue Panther.
Games. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, they're publishing their own games through Blue Panther. Yeah.
I did not realize that. Yeah. Huh. I like War Diary. I still read all their stuff.
Thanks for stopping by, Charles. Appreciate it.
Yeah, see you, Charles. I think Roy is going to send me the 1914 game, so I'm going to have a look at that for him as well. So I don't know when that's coming though.
Yeah, the good thing here is there's breakdown units, so there's no more keeping track on a pad, Joe. Now they've got extra units for that, which eases the bookkeeping quite a bit.
Yep.
And I could see that being a thing back then, and it does work, but I think it's better when you have the breakdown units. It works better nowadays because you keep the units on the map. You don't have to worry about keeping track. Oh, what's that one? Oh, that's 4 strength. This is 2 strength or whatever, or 2 steps. You just have it right there on the map. You know what you got.
There's only one game that I've seen that has done that really well, which was the Thunder in the East one, where they had they called it the change box, I think. The one where as units got damaged or step reduced, they would come over to this box and you would switch them out or combine them if they got, put back together into a higher strength unit. But the way I described that one in the game was the fact that the box was like a cash register that had to stay at the right amount. So if you were putting in, you were pulling out, or back and forth, and it was an easy way to keep track so you didn't lose in your mind or your focus what units you have. Because some games are going to have units that have 3-4 steps. I want to have that ability to have that in a game without having to keep track of it, off to the side.
Sure.
Yep.
So now Brant is leaving because he's over at what is it, Gamma or Origins, whatever that's going on now. I forget which one is that's going on now, but they're doing a live unboxing of Littoral Commander. That's what they're going to be doing. So that's going to be kind of neat. They're going to literally do a live unboxing of Littoral Commander. Fleet Marine Force, as I call it, not Littoral Commander. But that was the Marine Corps' choice to not allow them to use FMF in the title, which Buckeye Game Fest. Thank you. That's what it is.
You said the Marines said they couldn't use that?
Yeah, the Marines wouldn't let them use it. Littoral Commander has shipped. Yes, it has. Apparently they do. They there's trademark involved, I guess, with using EGA and also FMF. I'm not sure. Sebastian's a brother Marine too, and he does training, wargaming for the Marine Corps and things like that. So he went through the proper channels. Mistake number one. It's better to ask forgiveness and permission, is my belief.
Forever. What you can't say Fleet Marine Force.
I guess for a commercial war game, he couldn't. So maybe because of his position, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Oh my God.
All righty, Mike. You win comment of the night.
I didn't say it.
Whiskey Charlie After Dark. That is hilarious.
That's the first thing that popped in my mind. Jay and Silent Bob, man. When you said the name of the game, that was the first thing that popped up in my mind. You remember that?
Demonetized.
Let's not go there.
So that's the thing right there. I'll be demonetized, so I will lose that on the $1.23 that I would have gotten on this video.
Unless it's in the first couple of minutes of the video, they don't know.
Yeah, that's true. They could always pick up on it, later. I'm not worried about it because, like I said, it's not like I make money on YouTube.
Right.
The videos are monetized, and I don't make anything. Basically, there's a lot more money paid out of pocket per year than ever comes in. So from YouTube, if I relied on YouTube only, forget it. I'd be able to buy a couple bottles of whiskey, and that's it.
When we upload the videos, they've got a thing where it asks if you've got, that or the other. One of the things is like profanity. Plenty of times we cuss I'll cuss in my videos. I try to keep it to a minimum, but there's some in there. I always put it as none, and they've never said anything to me about it.
Yeah.
It's not enough for them to actually
say
anything. Yeah. Right. Nobody cares.
Yeah. It's certain keywords, and it's none of the ones that we use.
It should not be offensive, but someone will be like, and then they'll report you.
Gamers, those old white guys, they're so, whatever they are, but they're just like
whatever.
Well, there's still a debate on that part even existing. So that one,
the masturbator. Because you said there's debate. Debate where? The master? No. But, going back just a second to videos and with Vassal, we have done Vassal games on the channel, and guys who have sat in and watched those, it's similar to, it was a live playthrough. What have your thoughts been in watching over the shoulders here, watching on the channel? What did you guys think watching a Vassal game be played versus standing there at a con or whatever and watching people play on a table? Obviously, you're in the confines of your home. You can get up and use your own restroom. You can get a drink, whatever, sit down and listen to us three knuckleheads talk about whatever we're talking about while we're playing a game. I think it comes across fairly well on the screen, and it's easy to see. You don't have to worry about any focusing, lighting, anything like that. So that's the beauty of using Vassal.
I'd always prefer to have the real thing in front of me rather than Vassal. I'll use Vassal when we need to for, play purposes, since distance isn't, works for us. But I'd always rather have the actual game in front of me. I'm just old fashioned that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I prefer the actual game. I like to be able to move the camera around and focus in. Sometimes you get playing and you'll I'll forget with Vassal that I need to zoom in, and people are like, hey, what how you doing? And if I'm not using OBS, then it's not super fine detail in terms of, particularly if it's streamed, right? So it doesn't, I think the res is less than 720, so it doesn't look as crisp. And it wasn't until I started using OBS that it made it a little bit better. But I'd just rather use the map. I mean, I can get 4K live. I can get a 4K stream or recording, and everything looks great. I can zoom in and control all that, and I have a lot more fun with that than
it's true.
messing around with clicking and pointing and fighting the Vassal module and all that sort of nonsense.
Now, I would love if I could do, if I like, that's one of the goals for retirement. When I retire and get another house and have it, I would like to have a dedicated gaming area, to have something similar to what Joe has, but have a thing where I could move a camera around anywhere I want, because whatever I'm shooting with, I've got a monitor that I can see what I'm shooting. And then I've got headphones on so I can monitor my audio, and I could literally just, okay, let's move this over here. Okay. All right. Drop in here. Then boom, I can pick it back up. So I know my cut points on edits, or I could just have multiple cameras set up like Rob does with Rob's Tabletop World, and it just switch videos live, and just go from there.
I've wondered how he's done that.
You just have multiple cameras, and then you have it set up on a box, and you could just switch your cameras.
But they've got to be real cameras, not webcams.
Yes. Yeah. No, they've got to be real cameras.
Right. So he's got one camera pointed at the game, and then he'll switch to a different angle. And I just don't know the technology to do that, right? To switch to the different angles. Or
expensive.
Whatever he's got going on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You've got to spend some money. It's a few grand to come up with that, because you want to get like 2 or 3, at least 2 really good cameras, a third one depending on where you put it, if it's overhead or something like that. You don't necessarily want to have an overhead unless you can zoom in, and you still want to have a good camera there, but you have to make sure that you have to know your headlines and everything else, so that way you don't move your head in there unintentionally and block half the view. And that's why you need a monitor, so you can see, which is what he does. He has a monitor across the way where he sees what he's looking at. So
my new space will have, I'm planning on having a top-down camera.
Nice.
So you'll be able to see what's going on, and then I'll have my other camera for the up close, and we'll just, we'll work from that. That's the plan at the moment. I did do one where I live streamed. I stuck the camera on a tripod in the corner. There was 4 of us playing It Never Snows. I had it up so they could see what was going on, and I kind of commented on stuff as it went, but the stream quality wasn't great back then, so not fun.
True. And it also depends, like here, this thing that I've got here, it's 720. It's not even full HD. So, I mean, even if I was to stream through this, OBS is 1920. So it's HD, but it's 1920, 1080. It's not 4K. So that's the thing too, is your source and your transport have to be equal. You can have an 8K camera. If you've got 720 definition that's going out, that's all they're getting. That's all the visual is going to be on the other end. And then of course, the other things I like to play with is some titling software and stuff like that. So I can have stuff in a can, and then just use a board and just be like, okay, go to camera 1, boom, here's an overlay that it's already pre-populated and it goes in there. That would be cool, but that's all, work that's all some money, but it's work.
It's working money, right?
Yeah. But if I'm retired, I'm not going to care.
See, that's
what's that, Kippy?
The spending the money on a high-end camera, you cannot get a camera that will record longer than 29 minutes.
I can.
Not one that, unless it's a dedicated
camera, video camera. That's what I use.
So like a GoPro will record until it runs out of storage or battery, right? Your phone it'll do that. But if you have a camera, like
a DSLR,
one of those, it will only record 29 minutes, and it'll stop at that point because of European tax laws.
Yeah.
Right?
That's why you buy a handy cam or a regular video camera. That's what I have.
Drove me nuts. I didn't realize that. And I kept getting all these cameras. I'm like, why can't I find a camera that'll record longer than 29 minutes? And that's when I figured out all I had to do with European tax law. And it narrowed down the amount of cameras that I was able to get. It has to be a dedicated video camera.
Well, the good thing, Mike, is none of us are bald.
Well, I'm bald by choice.
Well, you shave your head. I mean, I have hair. I just choose not to.
Oh my God!
I like to have my hat.
Wear a hat. Yeah.
No, I like to wear my hat because I always wear a hat. And when wearing headphones, I like to wear a hat. So OBS is great. iPhone 13 Pro is what he uses. So that's something else too. Is used
4K.
What's that?
The smartphones now, right? They record at 4K.
Oh yeah. Yeah. My phone's 4K.
Yeah, that is something else I've considered. It's like, maybe I'll just buy some old iPhones or something like that. Well, old is relative. I mean, old as in used. I don't need it for anything. I can just use my Wi-Fi.
How are you going to sync them, bro? Like, you're going to take all that film and then like try and line it all up, and that's just stick the different.
And then I'm going to start a Twitch channel, and everyone's going to like watch me, and they're going to pay me.
And I'll get 500 million views.
I get 500 million views, and I will make millions of dollars, and I'll be famous. I'll be internet famous.
Free crack cocaine and women. Yeah.
No, that's not going to happen. None of that will. I just, like I said, it's part of the fun. It's part of the hobby, what we do. And, it's an interesting topic. And you know what? We're going to, now that he's here, let's pick this topic back up in a future show, and we'll bring Joe on, and we'll talk about content creation from a video perspective, as far as what it entails, and because we're doing this and Joe's chiming in from the chat. But I think having him in here would be really great for all of us and for all the viewers as well, to understand what goes on with content creation, because there's a
behind the scenes. We'll call it behind the scenes with Stuka Joe.
Yes, it'll be.
I love it.
I sound like half the students about what I'm going to have a Twitch channel, dude. I'm going to make millions of dollars.
Bro, it's so easy these days, bro. I'm just going to stream 4K.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I'm going to just stream and make money. I'm going to do esports too, man. Watch it.
I'm pro esports. I make $11.
Esports pro, man. So
Stuka has always surprised me. I am surprised he doesn't have like tens of thousands of subscribers. Perfect voice.
This is true.
Yeah, if there were 50 million people, he probably would.
So there we go. Joe's going to give the studio tour and the breakdown. So we are going to sit down with the Wargaming Spielberg himself, Stuka Joe. We will plan it out next month or the month after, maybe. We'll see what Joe's schedule is, and we'll do that. Now, as far as War Games, here to finish this out, we'll get back on topic again because we keep getting derailed. War Games, what's up next for you, Nate?
Definitely Carrier. Hopefully.
The way you said that, you're like, definitely Carrier.
Dude,
I've got to do
been
it.
on my table for over a month, and I've been poking around at it, and I've played through the little demo scenarios, and I've done the whole thing. And I'm planning on filming scenario 5. I figure that's far enough to have the majority of the game with enough cutout that I'm not going to blow my little minuscule mind trying to film it. And other than that, I am going to be doing Onus, going to be doing some lock and load tactical, the Heroes of the Bitter Harvest, and there was something else that I had got sent, and I can't remember what it is. And the Julius Caesar will be up very soon because I want to get that up before they finish their Kickstarter. So that one will be probably the next thing that I actually get up.
Very good. What about you, Kev?
So Carrier. I will try and carry on with that as far as I can, and we'll see what happens. I've got turn 1 started on the next war Iran playtest on Vassal.
Nice.
I'm going to capture images of that stuff, and it won't be video though, so that'll be blog based, I think. I've obviously got 4 videos coming on that anyway, and then I need to cycle back to, oh my gosh, I can't remember the name. First Victories, Lock and Load Publishing. So I've got that Napoleonics game. I'm going to do Vermerio for that. So I've actually got David Heath's copy, and I'm feeling guilty about only having played 1 battle. So I've got to get that second battle for him. And then I have a whole bunch of other stuff, all the Twilight stuff and war stories, and I want to do a little bit of goofing around with that and write some narrative stuff.
When is Blood and Fury coming out?
Oh, did you see that the prototypes are in? So he got the
Yeah.
final prototypes in today. So I guess they'll be showing those off this weekend online probably. And I think then we're close. They've got to push the print button. So it's going to be a couple of months.
Yeah.
That's one I told him. I was like, I want a copy as soon as possible. I'm going to beat his ass.
Well, look at you, greedy boy.
Wow. You want a copy?
Wow.
I want a copy. You
Yes,
just give me a copy.
Is that how you say it?
How about
You
you buy
use
a
your
copy?
manners.
No.
You use your manners.
I am going to be filming a lot of World War 85, but that one is one of my favorites. I always love that one. So
yeah.
I'm looking forward to Blood and Fury coming out.
What an ass kisser. Unbelievable.
Come on, you loved Storm in the Gap just like
That
that.
right there.
Of course, I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. And if you get a prototype copy before me, I'm going to be pissed.
Now I will say right here, Alistair.
Send out.
Alistair is the thief right here. He is the big thief right here because he got he bought Storm in the Gap at the 50% off sale.
Yeah.
You get that game at a 50% off sale, you are a thief. You got a deal and a half on that. So
exactly.
That's a fantastic grab.
So what about you,
Mike? That WBC we went to, that was the game everyone kept coming back to. Everyone kept coming back to seeing that. I actually still have the prototype of Storm in the Gap, like from 5 years ago, 6 years ago, whenever it was when we were at that convention.
Yeah, that was when we shot the
round thing.
Well, we also shot the talk about what was that other game I keep forgetting the name of that they were going to do?
Contact Now?
No, not that one. The other one, the Australian game, Kev, we talked about it last time. And I continually forget the name of it. Someone will remember it. But Compass Expo, I will be there in November. I am not planning on going in May. Too expensive to go twice in 1 year. So I'm going to just go in November. I'm not going to be able to do it in May.
I'll tell you what, $62.50 for Storm in the Gap is not bad.
That is super cheap.
Yeah.
That's
especially
awesome.
with the amount of gameplay that you get in that one.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yep.
Speaking of which, I was surprised at Bitter Harvest coming with the solitaire expansion, like in the core box itself.
It also has all those data cards, which I kind of wish they didn't. But
that's a lot of gameplay actually in a single box. Good value depending on how much he's charging.
Mm-hmm.
There is one in November. There is one in May, Joe, and there's also the regular Compass Expo, which is November on Veterans Weekend. So that is the one I normally go to.
If it wasn't incorrupted, it'd be all right to go to.
So I hate to be a party pooper, but I actually have a telephone call with Australia in 2 minutes. So I need to roll.
Oh.
So I'm going to let you guys wrap up.
Okay.
So that I can hit that. And I'm sorry for cutting out quickly.
You go bail out on deal with your Aussie call. We'll close it out here.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Right.
Ciao. Have a good night, everybody. Bye.
So the CSW, that is different. That's Consim World, and that is August. Yes. But Compass Expo.
Compass, yeah.
So Compass Expo is normally November, which it's still going to be, but there's also a Compass Expo that is now in May. So they're doing it twice a year. And then Dallas, CSW Dallas, no, there's not going to be a CSW Dallas. There will not be this year, CSW Dallas, which is Consim World Dallas, because John Kranz lives in the area. We have one here local, and there's not going to be one this year. So unfortunately, with the Compass Expo in May, he's just not going to have enough time to get that done, plus all the stuff he's working on with Compass games and stuff like that. So he's not going to be able to do that. Unfortunately, this year, maybe next year. Plus the prices of renting places has gotten so expensive, for a con. So that also plays into it.
If I was going to be going to any, and I can't answer that until after some more stuff is going on. I actually have an EKG tomorrow morning. I'm going to the hospital for that one. So until I get some more answers on that, I'm kind of in a holding pattern.
Well, you need to study hard all night long.
I offered to, have her help me with that, for a little bit. I don't think she was game.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm sure everything will be all right with that. And that's what we're all hoping for. But
I'm not expecting anything bad.
Yeah. So yeah, in the future though, we will, like I said, we will get Stuka Joe on here. We'll talk about his setup and talk about video content creation. Maybe we'll see if we get maybe another one or two content creators in here as well. Maybe have a little content creator roundtable. Maybe even not on a Tuesday night. Maybe we'll do it on a Friday night or something. We'll figure it out, and we'll just have like a what it's like to be doing video and why we do certain things the way we do based on funds, interest level for us, what we like to do, what we don't like to do, things like that.
Can we get Becca Scott to come? That'd be great. I'd be down for that.
Yeah, I'm on board with that too. I think everybody's on board with that. We'll get that over on the Twitch channel. That's going to make me millions of dollars.
I don't think the wife would be happy with that.
See, even Joe likes that.
Doesn't like that.
No, he likes that idea.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Who wouldn't like that?
Yeah, well, that's true. This is true. Becca Scott, yes. So yeah, as far as that stuff, I think that'll be interesting to talk about. And as always, we really appreciate you guys tuning in and being part of this. This is why we keep doing it, and we enjoy having these chats, even when we get a little derailed, like we did tonight about video and stuff like that. But next time, there was a topic. One of the topics we were going to cover tonight, which we didn't really cover because we got sidetracked with video stuff, was going to be like games we don't like and why. So that'll be something we'll cover next month, and that'll just hit on different types, whether it's specific games, game types, mechanics, things like that, or a combination of the above as to why we don't like them.
I see that quickly devolving into publishers we don't like and why.
No. I don't think so, because I think it comes down to there are some games that talk to you, some games that don't. Just like there are some designers that you prefer over other designers for whatever reasons, and everyone has their own individual reason. Just like the viewers, I mean, everyone's they're going to say, "Oh, you're crazy for saying this game is not good." It's like, no, we're not saying it's not good. We're saying we don't like it, and that does not mean it's not good, because not every game is for everybody, and that's why we're fortunate. We have so much, such a wide variety of games out there to attract different people. Because
I like that map for. What was that? Frozen Inferno?
Yeah.
I like the cartoonish map, but everyone else hated it.
Yeah, it was definitely not optimal. And I shared, pretty extensively with them as far as my problems with the map and why. And I was pleasantly surprised to hear that they listened. And they made some changes. So I give them credit for that. They took feedback. They took positive steps to try to, make wargamers happy, make it a little bit more of a little bit more than just a simple intro war game with a map. They tried to make it
the Kickstarter they did for that dice tower.
Yeah, I did. It was pretty wild.
The dice tower was cool, but honestly, I thought they were overpriced.
Yeah. They were, and they did. They're going to have a double printed map. So you have whichever side you like. So you can play on, if you want the cartoony map or you want the more realistic map. So, that's a good point right there. Not good for me for various reasons. Cause I know that there are some games, people love, like John C was making a joke. He's like, "Oh yeah, most favorite game, Combat Commander." Not everybody, but a lot of people really love Combat Commander. I don't like that game at all.
That's the card-driven one, right?
It's the card game. It's not even card-driven. It's the card game is what it is. And that's why I don't like it. Which is funny because I like 65 and I liked 85, and they're similar, but there's differences. And it's just, I think the way it really comes down to a couple of things. Number one is how a game hits you the first time you play it, or the first few times you play it. That sticks with you. First impressions can be everlasting. And if you get a game where, like Combat Commander, when I'm playing it, when I played it solitaire, I didn't care because I was like, yeah, I'm dumping hands. It didn't really dawn on me fully until I played it opposed. And I was like, man, all I keep doing is dumping my hand because I don't have anything to do. Well, what's the point? that was why I didn't like it. So.
Yeah, that's right. I hadn't played that one, but remembering your gripes about that one now.
Yeah, now other people love it.
Card draws.
Yeah, and other people love it, and I can see why they would love it, and I understand the chaos and the fog of war, the friction that it's trying to model. I just didn't it just didn't do it for me. Just like Sekigahara is another one that people loved, and I was like, it's a hand management game with really pretty blocks and a beautiful map. It's a gorgeous production. It's just gorgeous, but it really just, I could play it without the blocks. I could just be like, I'm moving 3 units here and I'm moving 2 units here. Counters I could have used and just been like, okay, I've got these cards, I win. You know, it was kind of like that. But again, the common denominator for me a lot of times comes down to cards. You know, cards.
My girl play that one.
You know, cards will just be the type of game that, depending on the game, cards can pull me right out of game very quickly. You know, that's just, but that's personal. That's my taste. Other people thrive on that. They love that. So, but yeah, we'll have to hand management commander. That is exactly it, Joe. That is a perfect call on it right there. But we're gonna tie it up here for the night, and we will say goodnight. We will catch you on the next one. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great night, and we'll see you next time.